Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Angie and this is Cover Spines and Pages, and I am super excited about this weekend. So this weekend is Pageathon, which is a 48-hour readathon that is put on by Books with Lexi, Covers with Cassidy, Eleanor Reads, and On Monica's Shelves. So I will link all of these booktubers channels down below for you to go check out their channels. I'm sure you're probably not going to need the video for the announcement for this because this readathon is come and gone by the time you will see this video. But anyway, I've been pretty excited about this. I'm kind of like a kid at Christmas. I've been waiting for it all week. I've been thinking about it all week, kind of planning out what I'm hoping I'm going to read, and I still actually don't know. But there are prompts that we read for, and the way that this readathon works is instead of tracking specific books, obviously we're reading books, but instead of tracking the number of books that we read, we're tracking the number of pages. So you don't necessarily have to read a whole book. You can read whatever book you're in the mood for and track the pages for it. So each time you pick up a book and you read through a number of pages, once you're done reading and you put it down and you're going on to do something else, there is a tracker that we put the number of pages in, and then you choose a prompt for which it applies to, and each of those prompts has a reward that goes with it that revolves around the booktubers during sprint time. So they'll either be playing games or feeding treats to their pets and things like that. So it's more of a community type of thing than just a readathon. And that is why I think I'm so excited about it. It's like, I like doing readathons and trying to get in a number of books, but I'm really super excited about the whole community aspect of this, doing sprints for 48 hours, well, over a 48-hour period of time. I mean, they are planning to sleep. So I will probably sleep as well, because I've done a 24-hour readathon where I have not slept, and that kicks my butt. I cannot imagine trying to push through for a full 48. Although I know that there are some people out there that do this. I don't think I quite have that in me. But I will probably sleep a little bit less because I want to get more reading done. I actually kind of have some fairly big goals. I'm kind of hoping to hit somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 pages, which is pretty ambitious. I think I might have only put down 1,200 pages as my goal when I signed up for this, but I don't even remember. But whatever the case may be, I'm hoping for a lot of pages. One of the prompts is to randomize your next read. So you can do that by having a pet pick, or you can do a roll of dice or spin a wheel, anything like that. And I'm going to start out the readathon with that. I don't know if I'm actually going to use that prompt. It will depend on what book I end up reading to start with. But I have a whole bunch of books that I've picked out for this weekend that I can choose to read from. I have some buddy reads that either I'm in the middle of or I'm working along with a specific person, some book clubs that I'm part of that I'm reading books for, as well as some books I'm kind of stuck in the middle of and I've put them aside for something or another. And I kind of think this is a good opportunity to re-inspire me to pick them up and read them. So the first randomizing I'm going to do, I have a 4-sided die, and I've picked out 4 books to choose from that I can read. And I will do the first sprint with that book. And then I don't know what I'll do after that. It'll be just kind of it will depend. I might randomize another one, or I might just see what I'm in the mood for. I'm obviously going to try to prioritize books that I don't have audiobooks that I can immersion read or just audio listen to books, because during the day I'm more alert and it doesn't matter if I read slower because I'm not falling asleep in the middle of a page, kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do, the 4 books that I'm putting on this randomizer to begin with are The Rights of the Starling by Devney Perry. I'm partway into this. I am reading this as a one-on-one buddy read with Brittany at Rescues and Reads, and my cover is falling off of this. I don't want to read this all the way to the end because we're kind of pacing ourselves over a specific amount of time, and it's kind of nice to try to keep up the same pace with each other so that our discussion is relevant, which I find is a lot easier to do with a one-on-one read along. So this is number 1 of the, if I roll a number 1 on the die, this is the one I'm going to go with. Number 2 is going to be Nothing Tastes as Good by Luc Dumas. This is a new to me author. I don't think it's not a debut, but I've never read anything by this author, and I've started this book, and it is the pick for my in real life book club, The Sinister Shelf, and I'm really intimidated by this, but it's starting out okay. I think we'll see. It's got cannibalism, which kind of freaks me out a bit, but we'll see. But it's another one that I don't necessarily feel I have to read all at once. If I did just totally get into it and immerse myself into this strange world and read it all the way to the end, I wouldn't be disappointed, because then I would just be ready for the book club. But that isn't until May 9th. So if I just read some of this, it would apply to a couple of different prompts for the readathon, and I would get some of it read before time. The next one I'm putting on here is And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. I read First Time Caller a couple of months ago, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm anticipating this one being something of a popcorn read, which is one of the prompts of the readathon. And it's also one of the Patreon read-alongs that we're doing in Brittany's Rescues and Reads Patreon book club. And I'm getting a little redundant. And then number 4 on this list is going to be Dragon Mage by M.L. Spencer. And I am about halfway through this book. And the first half of it went by really fast for me. I enjoyed it a lot, but it started to get to a conflict that at the time I really didn't know that I had the emotional capacity for. And I just set it aside, and Rights of the Starling showed up, and Brittany and I started working on that. So I just put this one aside and figured I'd try to get to it this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to finish it. I mean, there are still a little over 400 pages left on this to go. So it's a chunky book, but I do hope that I will make a good dent in it. Maybe even even if I just get to the 4th part, I would be happy. But it's not that it's a difficult read. Like I said, the first half of this I read in just a couple of days. I cruised through it. So I think if I really just started to get back into it, I could just finish it. But that's not my goal. That's not what I have in mind. I'm not out to finish a bunch of books. There are a couple of books on my list that I hope to finish that are shorter. I've got Blue Castle by L.M. Montgomery, who is the author of Anne of Green Gables. That is a read-along that I'm doing with the Patreon for Krista at Books and Jams, and that's coming up in just a couple of weeks. Probably not even 2 weeks left before we get together and talk about that. So if I pick that up, I'm kind of hoping I will breeze through that one. It is less than 300 pages, so it hits a couple of different prompts for me. One of those being a book under 300 pages, and another one is that it is an author that I have rated one of their books 5 stars because I loved Anne of Green Gables. But those are the 4 books that I'm going to put on that I'm going to roll a dice for as soon as I find what I did with my dice. Okay, my little 4-sided die. I was going to do a 6-sided die, and I left it in my house, and so I just went with 4. And anyway, I'm going to hold this up, and I have to put my little microphone down while I do it. I rolled a 1. Okay, so number 1 book is The Rites of the Starling. So that is what I'm going to do for the first sprint, which starts here shortly, so I probably should wrap this up. But I will read for 1 sprint this book, and then I will probably also take, since this is one of the books that I don't want to read all the way through, I will probably take Nothing Tastes as Good in there with me also, and just read that next, because neither one of these are books that I anticipate reading all the way through, and that would probably be a good way to get started, is just to get those 2 books out of the way, because then anything else I pick up I might just read from beginning to end. But anyway, that is it for now, and I will catch up with you in just a few minutes. Okay, so we're about 2.5 hours into the readathon, and 2.5 sprints in as well. In the first sprint, I got through 37 pages of Rites of the Starling, and then the second sprint and the third sprint combined, I only got through about 26 pages of Nothing Tastes as Good. I also had dinner in the midst of that, and my husband came home from work and stuff that kind of ate into some time. So now I just need to pick what my next book is, and I don't really feel like randomizing it or trying to figure out a way to randomize this one. So I think I'm going to, I think my plan is for the next little while, I'm going to read the Blue Castle by L.M. Montgomery. I have it on my Kindle and I have it on audiobook, so I can immersive read or listen and do something else for a little while if I want to. And it's not a very long book, so I can probably get through the whole thing tonight if I want to. So I'm going to start with that. We'll see. I don't know if I'll just read that straight through or if I'll bounce around with some other books in the midst of it. But for right now, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Well, it's last sprint time, and it's 10 o'clock, after 10 o'clock now, and I have about 2 hours left in The Blue Castle by L.M. Montgomery. I don't like this book so far. I only have 2 hours left, so I'll stick with it, but the characters are so annoying. And I know that that's the point of the book, but I am just not enjoying it. But I guess I'll finish a book for this readathon, and that's cool. I should be happy with that. But I'm sad because I love Anne of Green Gables, and I thought I would really like this because I enjoyed L.M. Montgomery's writing style, and the writing style in it is still good, but just the banter is annoying, and the story's not whimsical and fun like Anne of Green Gables was at all. It is morose and depressing and but yeah, this is my last update for tonight. There's about 30 minutes of sprints left, and then I'm on my own until I finish this book, because I'm going to stay up and plow through it, because if I have to pick it up tomorrow, I'll probably not pick it up tomorrow. So anyway, see you in my next update. Okay, so one more before the end of the night, because I said, or my plan was to try to do some of the activities that the girls do when they meet goals for the pages. And the first one was the Bean Boozle, which is spicy jelly beans, and I don't have those. But the next one that we got was pet treats. And I have a pet that would probably really like a treat. Tylo, come here. Treat. This is Tylo. Bye. You gonna eat that? It's late. He probably doesn't know what to think about getting a treat this late. Okay, good night. Good morning, friends. It is about 7:30, I think, and sprints will start in around a half an hour. I've got coffee brewing in the house. Unfortunately, I don't have coffee in me, so I'm definitely feeling a little disjointed, and it's probably going to show in this video. But I put a poll in the Discord for this readathon last night so that I would know what the first book I'm going to read today is, and so that I'm fulfilling one of the prompts by doing a randomized read. And they have chosen And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison for me. I am not sure I'm going to read this whole book this weekend. It's something like 440 pages. And unless it really captures my attention, it's just going to take too long and I'm going to lose patience and I'll be bored with this readathon before the end of it. So unless it is super interesting and I can't stop reading it and I have to know what's happening next, which probably isn't going to happen with a romance book, I will bounce around from book to book. And I have kind of put in another plan for today. So I have 3 books that I am partway through that I need to finish in order to meet Herkiad prompts. And Herkiad's actually almost over, like really close to being over. For most people, it ends July 7th, I think, but I started just a little bit early, and you cannot start early and not finish early. So my end date is June 22nd. And it is April 19th, 18th. I think it's the 18th today. And so I don't have a whole lot of time, and I still have a few prompts I need to finish. So the books that I'm partway through that I would like to try to tackle today as well are going to be Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones and The Dragon Mage. I don't think it's just Dragon Mage by M.L. Spencer. I keep wanting to say M.L. Wong, but that's different books. And then the third one is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. And all 3 of these books I'm about halfway through. And I have an audiobook for the Dragon Mage book, and I have a lot of pages left in that. I think I have over 400 pages left in that book. So either way, that one's going to take some time. I don't really know how many pages I have left in the other 2, but they were relatively short to begin with. And if I just tackle those over this weekend, then I am setting myself up for success with Herkiad, because that will wipe out at least 3 of the prompts I have left. And I don't remember how many I have left at this point, but I'm really super close. And I just think that coming into my first year of reading, being able to finish that challenge, it would just be cool. And okay, so I'm going to go inside, fill myself up with some coffee because I am brain foggy. I went to bed at 1:30 in the morning and got up at 6:45. So I typically don't get a whole lot of sleep, and that's not an uncommon amount of sleep for me, but I'm struggling to just come around this morning. So, and now back to you. So this morning they started with a pet treat. So I'm gonna give my boy a treat. Tylo, sit. Good boy. You're such a good boy. They're little, so he gets 3. That's it. Oh, come on. Good boy. Good Sunday morning. So I've already recorded this video, and then I tried to put together a quick video for just to post for today because I haven't done anything for my channel. And in going through the videos, I have accidentally deleted the clip that I did for this. So I wasted quite a bit of time this morning. It's 8:20 in the morning. That means sprints have been going for about 20 minutes already, and I haven't even turned it on to see what's going on this morning. And I have not started reading. And yesterday was a dumpster fire. So my weekend isn't really going as planned, but that's okay. So this little update is just to talk about yesterday a little bit because I really didn't do a lot of check-ins. I started out the morning reading And Now Back to You, which was a poll pick. It was also from the one of the hosts' TBRs for the month, and so it worked for a specific prompt. I read about 50 pages of that, and I enjoyed it. It was a good 50 pages. I never did get back to it because I had said in one of the prior check-ins that my plan for yesterday was to make sure that I was tackling some of the books that I had started and not finished and I needed to do for her kid. And that plan derailed me quite a bit and probably would have been okay if I had pivoted early enough in the day to fix it, but I did not. So after I read my pages of And Now Back to You, I went out for a walk and I put on the Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. I got about 75 pages through that book and I DNF'd it. I DNF'd it because it had some content on page that was not okay for me. So I'll just leave it at that. I might put out something about it a little bit later, but I wouldn't count on it. If you're really that interested, just go look at, I don't know. I don't even know if you can see the review because I did mark it as did not finish. But anyway, I'm getting derailed again. So then I listened to Dragon Mage and I am still working on that one. I read a total of about 50 pages of that. And then I sat down and tried to read The Night and the Moth, and I could not get into that. And I think the problem with that one is that I tried to start that one mid-book where I had left off. And probably the reason I left off mid-book with that one was because it was in the, I don't know, fantasy, not as much romantasy books and some fantasy books tend to get kind of slow in the middle of them. And I think that I set that book down during a slow part and was easily distracted and moved on to something else. So when I picked it up yesterday, it was at a slow part and I just couldn't get past it. I was bored to tears. And I'm not going to say that I'm DNFing The Night and the Moth, but I just have no desire to pick it up and read it. And I think I'm going to set it aside. I don't know what I'm going to use to fulfill that prompt instead for her kid, but I don't want to start it over, and that's what it's going to require to get through it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that book yet. But in addition to that, I read 40 pages of that. I read about
13 pages of The Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. And that was just like early in the morning before I got started with my day yesterday. And I read about 50 pages of Rites of the Starling so that I could keep up with my buddy read. And then I tried to pick up a book. It was an ebook that I got on Kindle Unlimited, and I also had the audio for, and that was This Damsel is Not in Distress by T. Harlow. And it was a cute, whimsical fairy tale type story, but I could tell really, really early on that I wasn't going to enjoy this one. I have read something else by T. Harlow that I liked, but this one just was, I don't know. I didn't like this one. And so I got 60 pages into that. And so between Friday night and yesterday, I've read a total of 605 pages. So I'm definitely not on track to hit, certainly not the 1,500 to 2,000 pages I said at the beginning of this video, but I'm not even going to hit the 1,200 pages that I had put in as my goal for this. Because today, like I said, it's already after 8 o'clock. I haven't even started reading yet. And I actually have to end my readathon about a half an hour early today because I'm going to go to an evening service at church. And so that means my time for reading is limited. In addition to the fact that I don't have that many hours left in this readathon, it's a beautiful, beautiful day. I've been waiting for a day like today where I wasn't working and had some nice weather. So I'm gonna go do some work in the garden today. I will take my headphones and I will be listening to a book as part of that. But I just definitely I'm not going to sit down and participate in all of the commentary and things that are going on the sprints. I will a little bit, but not like yesterday. I almost solely focused on that. I did go to town with my husband and had lunch, but other than that, I was at every sprint for almost the duration of every sprint. And I enjoyed the community. It was a lot of fun. That was exactly why I signed up for this readathon to begin with. But today I burnt myself out a little bit yesterday trying to read crap that just wasn't working for me. And I got tired. I went to bed early and I slept in a little bit today. And so I like the momentum for me on this trying to keep up with a page goal is gone. But 605 pages yesterday. If I could get through 595 pages today, it would get me to that 1,200 goal. But I'm thinking it's going to be probably closer to 300 pages today if I'm lucky. But not bad for 2 days. I definitely know some booktubers out there that plow through books a lot faster than I do. And I wish that I did that. But anytime I'm reading with my eyeballs, I'm definitely reading super slow. And I did try to do quite a bit of that yesterday. So, all right, I'm going to go join the sprints, drink my coffee, and I think I'm going to start with the Dragon Mage today. And I'm just going to pivot back and forth between immersion reading and just audio reading. And I'm going to try to finish that book today because it does meet a Herkid prompt and it would have that big chunker of a book that I started this month out of the way. Starting next week sometime, I think on the 23rd, another readathon starts, and it's competitive and it's all about finishing series or working your way through series. And I'll talk more about that later, but I'm like not mentally prepared. Like I'm having a brain cramp and I can't even remember what it's called. But anyway, I will check in with you later. So my whole day just changed a bit. You can see my husband in the back. He is unloading his dirt bike. And we are out at a place just outside of town that
he can ride, and I'm going to sit out in the sunshine with my book and read while he rides his dirt bike, so I can get a little sunshine and enjoy this beautiful spring weather. But it took a little time to get out here, and it'll take a little time to get back that I didn't get to read. And right now I don't have very good signal, so I can't exactly do the live streams either. So we'll see. I'll try moving around out here and see if I can find a spot to pick it up, because it wasn't very far ago on this road that I had good signal. So anyway, days changed. I'll be reading Dragon Mage while I'm out here. Well, friends, that is a wrap on Pageathon 2026 for me. I had a really good time with this. I wish there were more events that were like this. I would love to see more 24-hour variety or something like that. The whole weekend was kind of a lot for me, just because, mostly because it was a nice weekend. If this was in the wintertime and it was snowing and dreary and crappy outside, I probably wouldn't have minded as much, or probably would have spent more time on the couch watching the sprints and participating in that. But it was such a nice weekend, and I hated to just blow it off that way. I I every time I turned around, I was changing my plan, and things were just happening that kind of put a damper on every plan as I went. So as you know, when I went into this, my main plan was to dabble in a variety of books, which I did, maybe finish a couple. I finished one, and to get 1,200 pages. And I only got a total of 785 pages, which I'm a little bit disappointed by, but not terribly, just because the trade-off. I'm a runner, and I kind of equate it to training or planning to go to a 5K race and run a 30-minute 5K and ending up with a 45-minute 5K. This It was a little disappointing on that level, but it's not like I spend a lot of time training for this, and it didn't cost me anything to enter, so there was that. But today was a little bit better as far as how I felt about reading. Yesterday, I really tanked myself out. I kind of put myself in a bit of a slump doing the plan that I had made of reading the unfinished books that I had out there, and I don't think I'll do that again. I guess it definitely had its advantages to do that, but it made it so that overall I didn't enjoy the day, which is sad, because the whole point of the readathon wasn't just to finish books or catch up on my Herkyet or anything like that. It was to read pages, participate in the community, and have fun. I did participate in the community, and I did have a really great time, but my reading all day yesterday kind of sucked, and I don't think I'll make that mistake again. And then today, as you've seen in the clips before, like, today was just totally derailed. I got a late start. I knew I was going to be spending some time outside. Figured I would put my headphones in and do some garden work, and that didn't happen. My husband asked if I wanted to go hang out while he rode his dirt bike, and I really love when he goes out there to ride his bike. I used to have one, and I liked riding it,
but eventually it got to the point where I wasn't having very much fun doing it. But I like to go and I like to hear the sounds and watch the kids out there having a good time and enjoy the sunshine. So I did that. I took my lawn chair and I hung out next to the Jeep and just read my book while my husband went out and rode his dirt bike. And that was perfect. But I did lose some time in the travel to and from that. And then when we got back, we hopped on the ATV, took the dog for a ride around the neighborhood, and it was a pretty extensive ride around the neighborhood. It was probably another hour of my day just doing that. So I didn't get any gardening done, and I got a lot less reading done than I planned. In fact, today, my total reading pages that I submitted for the readathon was 180, which is, I mean, if I'd have just sat down and read all day, I'd have come a lot closer to my goal. But I just didn't do that, and I'm only kind of sad about it. Mostly, I just enjoyed my weekend, and I'm more sad that it's Sunday evening and I gotta go to work tomorrow. But yeah, so I finished one book. That was it. I only finished the Blue Castle by L.M. Montgomery, and I didn't. I think when I did my last update on that book, I was not enjoying it. And I would say that there's a good chunk of that book that I did not enjoy. The writing was beautiful, the story was cute and kind of fun, but the characters, I just hated the characters so much. And I mean the main characters were likable enough, but all of the satellite characters were just super annoying. And even though it was intended to be that way, I didn't enjoy the story because of it. But in the end, like I still rated it 3.75 stars, 4 on Goodreads because that's how Goodreads works. And I'm not sorry that I read it, and I think I'll enjoy the conversation about it with the book club. I think I've already mentioned that I DNF'd Buffalo Hunter Hunter, and I'm going to sell that copy because it really, I don't have any desire to keep it around. I soft DNF'd The Night and the Moth. I hard DNF'd This Damsel is in Distress. So today I got through a fairly big chunk of Dragon Mage. I think I've got a little more than a fourth of it left to read. So I did make good progress on that one. And considering it's over 800 pages, I was glad that I did that. And I got past some of the anxiety that I had going into the conflict of the story, which is why I set it down and started reading some other things. So at least it wasn't like Night and the Moth, where I put it down and it was boring and I couldn't get back into it. Then I read a bit of And Now Back to You, and I'm really liking that one. I will probably keep dabbling in that one as I have an opportunity. But I really want to get through Dragon Mage, and I'm working on an arc that I've been reading on my Kindle at night. I really need to get that finished because I've been picking away at it too long. Anyway, that was my weekend. I really had a good time. I hope that you've enjoyed coming along. I hope that you joined me in Pageathon. And if you weren't there, I hope that if they do it next year, you'll consider it because it really was fun community. It was a lot of laughs. It was really entertaining to watch the Lexi and Cassidy and Monica and Mel all eat spicy jelly beans and play weird games. It was a good time. Thank you for coming and being on this journey with me this weekend. I hope that you enjoyed this content. If you did, give it a like. If you're not already a subscriber, I would love to have you as part of my little community. And other than that, I hope you'll share with your friends and do the things that all of the wonderful bookish community does. And I will catch you next time.